Hello and welcome. Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda. And today's video is going to be a little different. I had edited and sliced and put all this together, and then my computer decided that it really didn't want me to have it anymore. So as I started to do my voiceover, the video wasn't keeping up, like the playback. So I closed down the program to restart it, and then all of my video editing from the last 2 hours was gone. So I am going to apologize that this is not going to be as smooth or polished of a video as you're used to from me, or at least I hope. But I did do my best to be able to pull this together and still get you a video today. So as you can see, I cut 3/4 inch strips in varying lengths and put it on a wood grain paper that I'm going to have a matted on a piece of black cardstock. And the photos that I have are from when I was in college, and a friend and I went to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, and we always went early in the season or late in the season. So we went in May before the crowds got really big. That was this particular trip. And then we also, actually I remember this year, we went again in September after people went back into classes. So here I decided that I needed another frame to highlight that wood grain paper. So I just grabbed some paper that was on my desk, literally. I don't even know what paper pack it's from. The zip strip was cut off of it. It is close to my heart, that's all I can tell you. So I'm cutting a frame out of the black cardstock here as well. And in my original video, I had edited all of this out so it looks streamlined, but now instead you get to see my rail cutter from Fiskars broke, and so I filled out the warranty online, but I know that everybody is out of those cutters and blades, so I'm not sure what Fiskars is going to do. So the rotary cutter doesn't cut as good of a frame for cutting out the centers and saving papers as the rail trimmer does, and that's why I wasn't going to show you me doing that, but there it is. That's how I go ahead and save my paper and mount my center using the lines on my Versamat, just so that I can have even edges. And so here's the start of the layout. I have all of those strips that are, like I said, 3/4 inch. And what I did in the various lengths of them, and I'm on Zoom, so I was showing somebody, probably Kim Ferguson. If you're not familiar with her channel, she's a good friend and she does some wonderful layouts. I know she has a new video going out today too, so you should go over and check her out. Actually, I'll put her link in my description. But that's what I was doing. I was showing her my little strips. So what I was doing, or trying to emulate with these, is I rounded some of the corners and I inked the edges, but I'm trying to emulate kind of the tallness of the roller coaster that the photo is from. We went ahead and purchased the photo from the Magnum XL. I think at that time it was the world's largest wooden roller coaster, which is one of the reasons why I chose the wood grain paper, because I thought that that would help with that story. And that information is actually on the flyer that the photo came in. So I'm going to attach all of these strips, and again, in the initial video editing that I did, I edited this out for you, and bear with me. I apologize. You can always speed up the playback, but as it is now, we'll get to have a little bit more time to visit together, right? So one of the things you might notice is a couple of my strips are actually hanging over the bottom of that wood grain paper that I framed. Because the paper that I had laying on my desk wasn't as big as the initial piece of the wood grain paper, I cut it all down, not taking into account that I had systematically measured all the different heights of these strips so that they would be all the same difference. But as it is, I kind of just cheated it a little bit, and it makes a smoother transition along the one edge, so I think it's all good. So I've cut those off, and now we can start to add the photos and all the other embellishments that I have pulled out for this. So the one photo is just one that Jim took of me as we were walking around in Cedar Point, and I did mat that on the old Game On paper that had the stars on it, because I just thought it worked out with the Magnum, and I thought I would embellish this with stars, or I was just thinking that that would be fun. So all of these little sayings were from the More Magical paper. It was a zip strip, and they had words, woohoo and we and smile and love this and look at that face. This was my favorite. And I love all those little words. And so when I went to pick my son up from school today, I took them, they were all just in squares and rectangles. So I took them and fussy cut them out while I was waiting for him to get out of school. So I think this was my favorite, is in red up there. And then in blue on the inside, it says, look at that face. And the yellow one says, totally worth it. So we just kind of having fun. And I'm trying to figure out where I want to have my clusters. And it's funny, normally I would start with kind of a base shape or area, kind of start with your bigger items and then end with your words. But apparently today was just a backwards kind of layout day, and my program wanted to lose my files. So what's a girl to do? So I did go and grab some of my Picture My Life cards. These are all from Close to My Heart. I can't tell you what paper packs, because I just have one of the old medium totes that is just crammed full of Picture My Life cards and the cut apart cards, because I did cut those apart and add them. So I'm using this one that's so much fun as my title, and kind of a secondary title is Day Trippin', because we did drive down and back in one day, and it made for a really long night, but with two of us and caffeine, we made it just fine. So then I remembered again my stars that I have, and I'm going to start to gather all of the embellishments that I'm pulling from the various compliment sets and the gem packs. And so all of those embellishments that I'm pulling from all the different areas, I'm just gathering on this. It's part of the non-stick or the all-purpose mat, and I cut mine into 6 pieces, and so I can just have little pieces of them. One I use for glue, one I use for a shimmer brush, I have one with my markers. It's kind of nice to have a little work surface that is a little more portable than the big one, but I do use the big one quite often as well. So if you notice on these Picture My Life cards, the heart was oriented one way with it long, and now it's oriented with it short. I just turned it over. And when I placed that star and went to place the third embellishment, there wasn't enough room between the two, but it was going to look weird to have all of them having their own separate space. So that's why I took that off and moved it so that the embellishments and the images kind of touch each other, which allows them to interact a little bit more. And then I'm going ahead and gluing a star over top of the star that's underneath. It's almost like a camouflage. It's a 2-layer, so when the folder of the roller coaster is open, there's still embellishments on the inside. And I just thought with the black framing that these black stars and the black chevron arrows that I put up on the teal cardstock strip, that just all kind of helps give some grounding, walk your eye around the layout. I also did gold, so a couple of the craft paper stars have gold on them, and it doesn't show up here in the video, but that tag also has gold on it. So again, there's going to be 3 areas of gold. There's going to be some areas with craft paper that kind of works with the wood grain. I'm also incorporating the black from the background in the stars. As I was creating this layout, I had thought about doing some doodling around the edges, and I decided to just keep it clean. There was so much going on, and I didn't want one more thing to kind of pull your eye away from the center, which I think is really the focus of this. And I also wanted to point out that I have my journaling card here was on the left, and then the other background for a cluster on the right. They're kind of cockeyed to the sides, but it brings your eye to the center. And so when I wrote out my journaling, I used the whole card, and so it was hard to tuck it in behind the photo. So now what I'm doing is I'm making a little pocket behind my photo for that journaling to sit in and slide in and out a little easier. And I will cut a slit in my page protector when I put this into my album so that people can pull this out of the pocket and read what the journaling says. So now I'm going to add some stars, and you can see a little bit of that gold here on this little star. So that's just the third area of gold on the layout. So I'm trying to get in balance the reds, I'm trying to get in balance the turquoise, and I chose the tealy turquoise color because it works with the sweater that I was wearing that day. And do you ever have a piece of clothing that you absolutely love? This sweater was actually my college roommate's, and she didn't want it anymore. And it was a knitted sweater, but it was short sleeved. And it was the most comfortable, right temperature thing. It was great. I love that sweater. Laugh at me if you will, but I love that sweater. So here I'm just finalizing, and I'm putting some gems on the layout. And apparently this is in real time because my video is not sped up. So you get to really see how I pull those off with the piercing tool. And I'm going to make 3 points of a triangle around each of my 3 cluster of embellishments. So I did my first one, now here's the second one where I'm going to make that triangle again. And I encourage you to look at your layouts in this kind of a way of making some triangles, making sure that your colors are balanced. If you have something on the left that's bright orange, you need something on the right to kind of counterbalance that and make it fit. And that's where I was trying to use the red and the yellow from the printed folder from the roller coaster, and also bring in colors from my sweater so that these could all be on one page. So now we are wrapping this up. Thank you for oh yeah, I forgot. So when I added one of these stars in, it had a little bit of sticker on it, so it was holding that tag in. So I just take my embossing buddy that has some powder in it and just take the stickiness off of that, so it no longer will stick into the page, and it just works there. So I appreciate you sticking with me on this new second take of my layout video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do that now. There's more videos that you may be interested in. I do both cards, paper projects, and scrapbook layouts, and I hope you have a blessed day. Be sure to go check out Kim's layout today.